As the Israelites continue their journey towards the promised land, towards fulfilling some of the promises that God gave to Abraham, they find themselves attacked by the descendants of Esau, the Amalekites. And here is a slave nation, a nation of fled for captivity, very, very new. They've only been, they're only sort of 3 days into their journey when they have the miracle with the provision of the water. They've moved on from there towards Mount Sinai, so they're only days into their existence. And here they are coming under attack. And they have to go to war for the first time to protect themselves. So here's a nation of slaves who've yet to find their identity, and they're having to go to war against a nomadic people who are used to fighting and claiming the spoils of war as a way to build their own nation. An experienced band of warriors against this fledgling nation who've just fled. And Moses sent his right-hand man Joshua in to fight this battle, to lead the people. Well, he goes and stands on top of the hill with Aaron and Hur to pray, to intercede, to cry out to God for success. I love this picture of Moses being up on the hilltop because he's got a higher vista. He can see at a different level. He can see over the battle. He can see what's going on. And sometimes we're so close to what's going on so that we can't see the wood for the trees. Sometimes we have to escape to look at things from a different perspective to really see what's going on. And as Moses lifts up his staff, a symbol of God's presence, the battle goes well. But when his arms start to fail and go down, the battle starts to fall away. After the battle, Moses stops and takes the time to worship God, to thank God for the success where he's taken this fledgling nation and actually been with them and helped them to overcome this experienced enemy. He acknowledges that it's God who gives them the victory. It's not a battle they should have won in the natural. It's clearly a miraculous work of God. But they'd rallied together, and they'd rallied together under this prayer covering of Moses and under Aaron and Hur with the support that they'd given, and Joshua leading the battle. And it's into this that Moses recognises God's encounter, God's presence, and refers to God this time as Yahweh Nissi, Jehovah Nissi, which literally means God is our banner. I have to confess, I quite like the TV series Big Bang Theory. I find it funny, and I find it quite an interesting commentary on different behaviours. But one of the things that the lead character Sheldon has is something that he calls fun with flags. And it's a bit of a Mickey take because he makes it sound sort of really boring, something that he finds fascinating. But banners or flags are a source of identity. It's something that every country has their own flag, and it's a national identity. In America, they probably make a little bit more of swearing allegiance to the flag than we do in the United Kingdom. But even in the United Kingdom, the flag brings many different things. For some, it can be a sort of a theme of racism and a negative. But for others, it's a source of pride and identity and national identity. It's a rallying point. The Roman armies used to carry an eagle into battle, and it would be the standard. It would be the thing that they would defend because it would give them their identity. It would be the point that people would rally to. And even in olden times, flags were used for semaphore to communicate. So there are many different applications to the idea of flags and banners. But for God to be identified as God our banner, what's that about? Well, it's speaking about coming and identifying with God, and God identifying with us as his people. So flags speak of identity. They speak of covering, because when you identify with a nation, and it's like, the flag flies over the embassy, and you can flee to that embassy, and it's a place of sanctuary, it's a place of safety. Flags speak of the sense of authority and whose kingdom rules. And when we read of this, it points towards this sense of God identifying with us, and the God, our banner, is speaking of his presence with us as his people, and our ability to turn to him for that sense of security. But it also speaks forward. It speaks to the person of Jesus, the banner calling the nations to bring his people home. So when we read this new encounter, it speaks of the God who's present with us.